Some movement on the Bears Stadium. A couple Rams players are going to join us to pretty much rave about Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. And we're going to discuss cap casualties as we jump into the offseason. CHGO Bears starts right now.
Oh, off to a rolling start here. It's a big show today.
What was that?
Well, I saw myself on camera. I'm in the studio by myself. I'm going to say that I'm probably in the Xfinity loft all by myself here as Hoge's in Hoge Mansion. Gregory's taking care of some family business. Shout out to Gregory. Shout out to Barb. Shout out to you. Already hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. As of course we're doing Bears shows all year long. And Hoger, good to see you, buddy. It's been an emotional morning for you as just watching you pop in and out of the screen here, watching curling. You want to give a curling update to start the show here? Because I did see that that husband and wife team, whoever they are, and the emotion, they jumped into each other's arms. That was really beautiful. I kind of got into it for like at least 10 seconds. I felt.
Are you talking about Sweden?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. There was something good happened. The Rocket
brothers. That's a brother and a sister.
Okay, but no, it was the American thing. Wasn't that a husband and wife thing? No,
just teammates.
Okay.
They're both named Corey.
Okay, well,
Corey Dropkick and Corey TC. Not sharp enough to USA lost to Sweden. It was sad, but they had a chance. Came down to the last rock. That's all people need to hear. We'll do the curling pod later. Because we got stadium stuff, Carm.
Yeah, we do. And listen, I know that it wasn't a bluff going to Indiana. I know it was real, but it's certainly looking very effective at getting what they want in Illinois and probably specifically Arlington Heights, of course. So Hoge, why don't you lead us off in here? What Adam Hoge updates can you add on to what's going on and why the Bears all of a sudden are having lots of discussions apparently about staying in Illinois?
Well, yeah, I mean, it shouldn't have been this hard to get Illinois' attention, quite frankly, because as I've been saying all along, they're not asking for a whole lot. Now, there are some sticking points that I think still need to be worked out. I think the Bears are willing to make somewhat of a dent into the payment of Soldier Field, but probably not as much as the lawmakers in Chicago want them to make. That's also not their responsibility, despite what the mayor tried to tell us a couple weeks ago. So there's still some sticking points like that still need to be figured out. But the reality is the biggest thing is the tax certainty, which is really what the Bears are asking for here to move to the next step, to begin construction. Kevin Warren has said this on record, and that's been the big thing that I haven't even sensed that Illinois lawmakers are against. They just won't make it enough of a priority, which is what they said in their letter. The Bears said in their letter that they put out, what was that, in December, right? Where they're like, well, we're going to go look at Indiana because the Bears have told us we're not going to be a priority in 2026. Well, guess who's become a priority now? Right. The Chicago Bears, as they should be. And so I think we've gotten to the point now, and it is crunch time because in Indiana, the legislative session ends at the end of February. So it's a new deadline. A couple of these deadlines have come and gone. May of last year came and went. Nothing happened in Illinois. Then the fall session came and went. Nothing happened. So this is the Bears saying, let's make something happen. It was not a bluff because they are willing to go there. If Illinois does, we're eventually going to get a couple offers here. Maybe multiple offers from Indiana, quite frankly, depending on which municipality's offering what. But Illinois here has to come to the table with what their offer is to make sure that the Bears don't do something crazy like go to Indiana. But they are operating under the understanding, and I think everybody understands here that the Bears don't want to leave the state of Illinois.
So the Tribune has a new piece put out yesterday by Stephen, jump in, or if I say this wrong, Jeremy Gorner, who's been on this show, and Dan Petrella, who wrote this up. And let me just, for those who are perhaps a little bit just behind the latest news, let me just kind of give you a little summary of what's happened here. Governor Pritzker said Monday that there was progress to incentivize the football team in Illinois. Okay, progress for whatever that means. Apparently, Pritzker met with Roger Goodell when he was here for the Bears and Packers game back on January the 10th. They had two 30-minute conversations on the phone on the January 9th, January 12th. Pritzker, Goodell. They visited. Goodell joined Kevin Warren, George McCaskey. They toured the Arlington Heights site. They also toured the sites in Northwest Indiana. They also, including one near Wolf Lake in Hammond. I don't know if you've ever been to Wolf Lake in Hammond. Gregory, we'll miss you on the show right now because I know you've hung out at Wolf Lake, at least in theory.
Well, yeah, real quick, just so people, Wolf Lake actually is literally on the border. So to give an idea of how close to Chicago, Wolf Lake extends into Chicago.
Okay.
Like that body of water is halfway across. So when they say like they're literally going across the border to stay as close to this site in Hammond would be way closer to downtown Chicago than Arlington Heights.
That's interesting. Okay. Until this moment in time, I'm going to assume that I'm not the only one that knew Wolf Lake was where Wolf Lake exists, or even that there was a Wolf Lake. But I'm sure it's a wonderful lake. Can you swim in Wolf Lake? Do you know?
I don't know that. I don't know about the fishing. I don't know about the swimming. I don't know about the boating. Hey, if I can bring the boat down there to Wolf Lake and we can, pull up to the stadium, I'm in.
I mean, because in Arlington Heights, we got paddle boats. Can you paddle boats in Wolf Lake? You mentioned the property tax certainty. So, that's obviously where the progress is being made. And Tribune writes, the talks have been in line with public infrastructure improvements for or around the Bears site in Arlington Heights and the so-called mega projects legislation that would make it easier for the Bears to negotiate with local governments over property taxes. So everything that they want to do. Comment from Pritzker, quote, there's a lot of discussion, a lot of ongoing conversation with the Bears, and indeed, frankly, progress has been made. So I'm pleased about that. This is what he said yesterday in Belleville, down south, where they were talking about a bond program down there. So he was asked about the Bears Stadium. That's what he says. And then this is the great politician moment of the day, Pritzker. But I'm going to let the Bears talk about what it is they want to get done and how they want to get it done. And I'm obviously involved in negotiation, and so are my entire team, as well as the members of the legislature. So this is where, at least for me, that this has gotten real, because I think the governor, who wants to remain the governor bare minimum, maybe wants to be the president someday. I don't know his exact aspirations here, but certainly doesn't want to lose his gig. I think he's come to the realization that losing the Bears would not be popular. It would not be a good look for him. So, yeah, he's going to let the Bears talk. But, hey, I'm here and so is my team. So that's, to me, when oh, okay. Well, now he's realized this would be a bad political move, and that means that there's a little more push behind it to keep them here. At least that's how I'm hearing it.
Well, in some ways, the governor's been kind of backed into a corner here because, the original theory is giving any type of public money to a private organization or private entity would hurt his case to potentially either get reelected or potentially run for president, because then that would be held against him in the future for doing so. Now, the other side of that, which is what I mean by he's been backed in the corner, is losing the Chicago Bears to the state next door.
It's a bad look.
That's an even worse look. Depending on who you're now, all the voters vote. Some care about that. Some care more about the public money. which one matters more? I guess that's up to the governor's office to decide. So, but the point is he's trying to play both sides here, but I think there is a compromise to this because at the end of the day, and I'm going to keep saying this because it doesn't seem to matter how many times I say it. The Bears aren't asking for a ton here,
which is why it's ridiculous that it ever got to this point.
That's what I mean. And that's why I think Kevin Warren was probably caught off guard a little bit by how crazy the politics in the state can be. Because I think they're coming into this being like, we're offering to pay for the stadium. Well, now it gets a little bit more in the weeds because this is more than a stadium. It is a development, and there are things they need from the state for the development part of that. And that's where part of this is being negotiated right now.
Well, and I get the complicated political part of this, right? Listen, if you're a politician in the city of Chicago, you don't want them to leave the city of Chicago. It doesn't look good on you. And Pritzker is in a very challenging spot where there isn't a lot of desire by most people to give $1 billion. The Seattle Seahawks are for sale right now because that's what Paul Allen wanted. They're going to be sold for a reported $9 to $11 billion. Okay, if something's worth that much, you can afford to build your own damn stadium like the Cubs did. I get all of that. Like I also get the public benefit of having a team in your state, and there should be a win-win. But I get all the moving parts here and why it's sort of gotten to this point. Now there should have been. Y'all are very, in theory, intelligent people that you've gotten to this position in your life, and you should be able to negotiate. And this has gotten a little too close for comfort, at least for some people, with the Bears leaving. And Hoge, listen. The best deal for the Bears, even though they own the land in Arlington Heights, judging by everything we're hearing from Indiana, I think in the end, the best deal is going to be in Indiana for the Bears. But are they really willing to go to Indiana? And a lot of people, despite the fact that George McCaskey green-lighted this, flirtation or whatever you want to call it, they don't want to go there. They want to be where they bought the land, period, end of story. So I think they're going to take my guess is that they will take a less deal to be here, but the best deal that they're going to get, I think, is going to be from Indiana.
Oh, it will be 100%. I mean, in some ways, to simplify this, they're being offered a situation where they're getting an interest-free loan over 40 years, where they're basically getting free rent, and then at the end of that, they get the stadium. I mean, if that doesn't sound, and now I don't know who's going to get the profits in the meantime when they have like the Rolling Stones or whoever come to, get the concert. But, I assume that money would have to be shared until they actually own the whole thing like they would in Arlington Heights. But I thought that was a great point from Albert Breer in the conversation we played on the show yesterday. These are land deals. You have all these you have 10 football games a year. That's it. So you potentially can have all these other events that you don't have to share the profits with the players. That's why these owners do this. It makes a lot of sense financially. But I do agree like that right now on paper, it sounds like what they're going to get from Indiana is a much better financial deal. Now, you want to know where Wolf Lake is? Because I think we have a graphic here ready.
Oh, yeah?
For you.
Wow.
See? So not everybody, most people have probably driven either north or south on I-90 once you cross into the state of Indiana. And you remember that one stretch of land where there's water on your left and water on your right? So the water on your left is technically Wolf Lake. And the water on your right, I don't know if that's still technically part of Wolf Lake or not, but it is connected, and that water goes back into Illinois, which that land right there is Chicago. People don't realize how far southeast Chicago actually goes. That is Chicago. So if they're building a stadium somewhere near Wolf Lake, they're literally right across the border from not just Illinois, but Chicago.
That's a big lake is my analysis. I didn't realize I don't think Hoge swimming could navigate that. I'm not saying to the earlier question whether you could swim in it or not. This is a good lesson on Wolf Lake. Wolf Lake. Could you put a stadium here, Hoge, in your expert opinion? Could you put a stadium next to Wolf Lake and make it look like it's actually Lake Michigan? So you could like you'd pan apparently to the north. Is that right?
You're talking about the aerial shots that put on TV?
Yeah, aerial
sure.
shots. Wolf Lake. There's the Sears Tower. I'll never call it whatever they call it nowadays. There's the Hancock. There's Michigan Avenue, and there's the lake. And let's not think about the fact that we're a little bit further south.
I'm not an expert on that area. I will say, just from my time of driving around, that doesn't seem to be much. It's almost like marshland is what it seems like to me when I drive through there. But again, I'm not an expert. Someone just put in the comments, there's no infrastructure there. I think compared to Arlington Heights, which has a great downtown, a metro stop already there, an existing infrastructure where a beautiful place known as Arlington Park used to exist. I mean, I think we're really comparing apples to oranges in terms of what's
right.
What's actually what's actually going to be accomplished in those areas.
There's also a great editorial in the Tribune, if people subscribe to the Trib, about just if the Bears actually are moving to Indiana and not making their stadium there just kind of a standalone stadium. It doesn't actually have any impact on the people that live there. Like they're trying, in theory, when you're talking about, like, if we go all the way back to Chicago, trying to make it a win-win for the city with green spaces and great things that everybody can enjoy. In the utopian world, if you're going to Indiana, you'd basically, in my mind at least, you'd do the same thing for Gary or Hammond or wherever you'd go. You'd try to make it, people on either side here. I know that's, I get it. We're territorial. We want the stadium to be in Indiana. But if you're going to do that over there, then make it a win for the city that you go to versus just kind of someplace that we're all going to drive through and drive out of 10 times a year. But neither here nor there on that part, because I do think they're going to end up in Arlington Heights. That's what it feels like to me. Give me your as we wrap up our stadium talk for today. And Gregory, if you're watching, congratulations on not having to do this today. What's your percentage right now on February the 10th? With everything can move by the end of the month here, because that's when this spring legislative session starts, or whatever deadline is at the end of the month. What's your percentage right now, Arlington Heights? What's your percentage, Indiana?
I think I'm back up to like 70% Arlington Heights, maybe even higher. And I never really see. Here's the thing, though. Like somebody close to this whole thing was telling me like a month ago, like actually this was even longer than that. Like Indiana is now the new betting favorite, and I was
interesting.
Like.
That's interesting.
But me personally, I never bought into it that far. You know what I mean? But I think that is a good illustration of how serious this actually got, and really what got the attention and needed to happen apparently to get Illinois back in the ball game. But now that Illinois is back in the ball game and the right people, the important people in place, are taking this seriously, and it sounds like the commissioners had to get involved in all this too. I do think that swings, like negotiation wise, it might still be closer to 50-50, but I'm also interjecting my own personal knowledge of the McCaskies and the history of the Bears in Arlington Heights and Arlington Park and all this. And I'm like, I just would find it really hard to believe that they actually go to Indiana. But this is a very serious thing here. So I'm going to go, I think I'm like 70-30 right now in favor of Arlington Heights.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm like, on this day I'm going to go like 93% Arlington Heights. I'll give you a fighting 7% chance Indiana. Although, when you go deep into this article, Pritzker on Monday also reiterated his position on the Bears' quest for state incentives, that he does not want taxpayer money paying for the stadium itself, would be willing to use state money to help the team with infrastructure funding, yada, yada.
So done. Like, what are we talking about here? Okay, good.
Right.
That's what's been on the table the whole time.
But then the next paragraph is, another issue for Bears officials is the more than $500 million in outstanding public debt from the controversial Soldier Field renovation. And I'm like, if those talks get really contentious, then I do wonder if it like gets to the point where they're just like, well, Later.
But okay, so
yeah,
we got a break here, but
yeah,
real quickly.
That's my 7%.
But this is where Illinois overplayed their cards because there was a time where the Bears were willing to chip in on a number that they don't owe that money. That's not their responsibility. But they were willing to cut. But this whole they got fed up and forced him to go to Indiana. I actually think the state has lost some leverage on what the Bears are actually willing to pay towards Soldier Field. So, I'm sorry, the state has lost the leverage on that.
Right.
Because now the Bears are like, well, no, we're just going to leave. And so that is where I think, I actually think from a Soldier Field getting paid off standpoint, the state and the city, whoever, would have benefited getting this done a year ago. I think that they've actually hurt their efforts to get the Bears to chip in on this by letting the string out as long as they had. I think they overplayed their cards on that one.
Well, and that's the worst part about all this, by the way, because the taxpayer, me and you and everyone else, we're getting stuck with this because the state kicked the can down the road, which is forever the political mindset of the last, 20 years. Look at the debt in the country. Not to get too political here. And that's on both sides of the aisle, by the way, for people who want to pick sides on this thing. Everyone's kicked the can down the road, and it hurts me and you because we end up paying for it, which sucks because the Bears have been making plenty of money that stadium should have been well paid off by now. Like it was in Minnesota, by the way, where Kevin came from. But we didn't do that here.
Pull tabs.
Yeah.
Pull tabs.
However,
paid off the stadium.
Great. Pull tabs, whatever. The thing
you can't see this chat, by the way, but Steven said he's going to kick the Carm down the road if you don't toss to break.
All right. To break we go. We're coming back with two Los Angeles Rams. Hoge and I at Bounty in a very weird conversation where I'm sitting on the ground, and yes, the Carmonica makes an appearance. You don't want to miss this. But first.
Hey, Poppy the Puppy with Bet365 early payout offer. You could be a winner. Their dog, if your team goes up by 17 points with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app, use code CHGO365 when you sign up. And with football sadly over, it is time to turn our attention to NBA Tip-Off Tuesdays. Check out Tip-Off Tuesday offer right now. Places qualifying same-game parlay with the safety net bet feature on Tuesday NBA games. You'll get $10 in bonus bets if the bet loses. Breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, sign up. Use code CHGO365. Deposit 10. Place a bet for $5. You'll get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment. It is never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling or referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only.
And a shout out to our friends at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, Sewer, and Electric. That's right. Winter is here. Schedule your home heating challenge right now. That's right. You can get a tune-up from Four Seasons, and also you can save, if you need a new one, $4,000 on furnace and comfort systems with Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, Sewer, and Electric. Furnace is starting at $39 a month. Furnace AC combos for $57 a month. All you got to do is visit Four Seasons. See you later, Poppy. FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. She's on her way right now. She's so excited by the offer. That is FourSeasonsHeatingCooling.com, your trusted local expert for heating, air conditioning, plumbing, sewer, and electric. It's a great Poppy the Puppy extravaganza right there.
What's Poppy doing right now?
Well, Hoge, I've just given her the lay of the land here. Go ahead.
I don't care. Yeah.
I have no idea where she is. Might be with Lori, could be with Jake.
You and Kirk Herbstreit. Herbstreit was just letting Peter roam Radio Row and he was doing interviews. Nobody was in charge of the dog.
Well, that's what I basically was like, well, if that guy can do that, why can't I bring Poppy in or let her just run around? Because everyone seems to like her. I'm sure there's a couple people that don't. But
for two reasons. One, he's Kirk Herbstreit. And two, Peter is way more trained than Poppy.
Yeah. Bragg's in the stands, by the way, now watching the show, giving his takes on Arlington Heights, and this is a very late first break. Not good. We'll report on this later.
Yep.
Gregory, you're absolutely right. And whoever just said that Poppy has better takes than me, that's messed up. I will hunt you down and we will have lunch and I will explain all my brilliant takes to you, whoever that was.
All right. I want to set up this interview because there's a couple things here. Bear with us on the audio because this is not going to be the greatest audio interview of all time. But you can hear it. I promise. We apologize that it's not perfect. It is interesting, though, because if you've ever wondered, I don't know if anybody has wondered this, but I thought it was interesting. What was going through the minds of Rams players when Caleb Williams completed that miracle throw to Cole Kmet in the end zone at the end of regulation? And also, what did they think would have happened if Ben Johnson had gone for 2 in that divisional playoff game? Those are the conversations that we had with 2 Rams players, Byron Young and Kobie Turner, at the Bounty setup last week in San Francisco. I promise this is a fun conversation. And yes, the Carmonica sadly makes an appearance, but here we go. Our third year over here with the folks at Bounty, and the set is awesome this year. Of course, we got Kobie Turner, Byron Young here. Just beat the Bears.
We're from Chicago, so this was our chance. This was a thing.
No doubt.
And
I did good.
Yeah, you think they did good?
Yeah, for sure.
Some people think the Bears should have won that game. What do you say to those people?
Should have won? I don't believe it should. I believe you get it done, you don't. But they definitely a good team, though.
Yeah. Can you kind of take us through what the preparation was, getting ready for the Ben Johnson offense, the Caleb Williams part of it?
It was kind of crazy. We played Ben Johnson at the Lions 2 times in the past 3 years. You know they have every trick play in the book. It's the playoffs. They had a couple trick plays that they had ran previously. And then you got Caleb Williams, who's just, he's a quarterback that can get it done in a variety of ways. He's definitely one of those guys who finishes out games. So it was a fairly normal prep, but you definitely have a lot of respect for their offense and, what they're able to do. And, yeah, it came down to the wire.
Bounty and
all right, we did that one. Now I got to get Hoge back here too. Is it just me talking? One of our great AOL moments. And now, Steven, what do I do now? Do I just talk about life? I think that I'm going to see Hoge back here. Oh, there he is.
There we are. Can you hear me?
And I got you now.
That was one of the craziest things that ever happened in this company's history.
It was one of our worst production moments, but what we like to do here is include you in it.
All right. So Hoge, you know what happened here? So that file was so large from your awesome camera that I couldn't upload it directly to StreamYard. So we did a little screen share type situation. Okay. And even that was too large
so we can't play the interview.
So we found out the hard way that StreamYard does not allow 14 gigabyte interviews.
Okay.
So, and it froze my computer. So I had to have Carm over there fix everything for us. So thank you, Carm.
Hoge, are you moderately impressed that I was able to decipher the direction of the fixation of the disaster of that interview that did not just happen, that we'll I guess upload as a standalone situation because we love our friends at Bounty and we don't want to do them like that, right?
Right. I don't know what you just said, but sure. Yeah, I'm very impressed with you. I heard your whole phone conversation with Steven, though, through the mic.
That was good. Yeah, and we did.
I think everybody else did, too.
We did run that through AOL dial-up is the takes in the chat. And, we apologize for that technical difficulty, and it will never happen again, hopefully.
It will work in studio, so we could do that one day.
But what the reality of this, though, Steven, is that because we went long on the first segment, it leads us perfectly into a break right now, and then we can reset and get ourselves going with our cap casualty conversation. What do you think about that as an idea? So let's do that. Let's go cap casualties. Let's reset. Let's dominate the next 2 minutes. You know what's the most important segment? The next segment. We're going to do that for you, but first.
Financial resolutions are great, but let's be real. Budgets don't reset on January 1st between post-holiday credit card bills and getting back to your regular routine. Cash is tight. That's why there's Upside, the free Upside app. Gets you cash back on gas, groceries, and dining. The 3 things draining your wallet right now. Over 100,000 participating locations means cash back opportunities are everywhere you already go. Yes, it's cash back, not points you'll never use, not credits that expire. It's money you transfer straight to your bank account. So here's how it works. You open the app, you claim an offer, you pay with your card like normal, and get paid. That's it. You'll earn 3 times more cash back with Upside than with loyalty programs or credit card rewards alone. Upside is giving back $1 billion to its users. To find out how much you could earn, download the free Upside app. Use promo code BEARS to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code BEARS.
Just to throw it out there for you Upside people who haven't done it yet. If I went to Jimmy John's right now using Upside, I get 34% back. If I went to Five Guys, I get 34% back. If I went to the gas station, I get 37% back with the BP. Good stuff here. All right. Shout out to our friends at Game Day Men's Health because, listen, I had the tennis match of a lifetime last night. And yeah, it's true that I lost, but Hoge, I would not have been close without our friends at Game Day Men's Health. If you're starting with that low energy throughout the day, if you're looking for that peak performance, if you're trying to become a better father, literally a better anything, better boss, better husband, better man, Game Day Men's Health wants to support you in your health journey. They've got an extremely high success rate. And yes, they give you all the good stuff: testosterone, vitamin supplements, weight loss, hair loss treatments, all the good things. Go to Game Day CHGO to find the location closest to you. Skokie, Naperville, Libertyville. Scan the QR code on that screen right now. Game Day Men's Health. You'll get to the next level. All right, let's get into this whole cap casualties. Everyone's favorite discussion: which Bears are going to be out the door? How do they create more money? How do they get the defensive tackle that they desperately need to collapse the pocket and help people get to the quarterback? The top of the list here apparently is Tremaine Edmunds, who the Bears can save $15 million on this year, which is a lot of dough especially when you're talking about the linebacker position. Cole Kmet, you could save roughly $8 million. DeAndre Swift is $7.5 million. So, and the Bears they are in this. Caleb Williams is not getting paid a lot of money. How do you win the Super Bowl now window? So where do you think we're at on this? Because, the Edmunds thing, to me, it almost seems like even though he's 27 years old, even though he's, he had a great stretch this year, it just doesn't seem likely, at least in my mind, that he will be here.
Yeah, I mean, and let's back up a little bit. First of all, I want to give Kevin Fishbane, a lot of credit. Had a good story in The Athletic, kind of breaking all of this down with the contracts.
Yes,
where the Bears sit. So right now, the Bears are $5 million in the red, according to overthecap.com. But that's before a reported 20 million. Did you add that?
No, I did not put that. That's how you put that in there.
Before 20 million
increase in the salary cap. Yeah, that's what you have.
I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, I put that. Yeah, I put that.
So okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought that was already factoring that in.
No, it's not.
Okay. All right. Well, good. There you go.
Steven for the win.
Look, here's the point. The Bears are not in cap trouble. I'm tired of hearing about this. Like, the Saints have gone into off seasons $90 million over the cap. Okay, and they figure out a way to get there before the season begins, and they stay competitive. Now, eventually, it did burn them because you can't do that forever. But the point is, the Bears are right around the cap. They do not have as much freedom as they've had in past years, and they are going to have to make some tough decisions. But between some simple restructuring and maybe letting one of these guys go, they're going to be just fine to accomplish what they need to accomplish. Now, Tremaine Edmunds, starting there, they can save $15 million and create $15 million of cap space by letting him go. And I think that is a very fair storyline to talk about here between now and really a month from now when free agency starts, because that starts on March 9th. It's February 10th today. So this is all going down in the next month. And, you look at Tremaine Edmunds, there's so many layers to this, Carm. One is, do the linebackers matter as much as they did in the last defense, where you came in with Matt Eberflus and they're like, we got to spend big on Tremaine Edmunds and make a change from Roquan Smith to Tremaine Edmunds and also sign TJ Edwards. And this is how we're rolling. I think that's a fair question. I also think where Tremaine Edmunds is in his career, he's 27, but he's kind of an old 27 when you look at the miles that are already, in his career with how much football he's played. And then you look at he was playing like a Pro Bowler before he got hurt, but he got hurt and they seem to be able to replace him when he wasn't in there with DeMarco Jackson. So is that worth $15 million? Is he a $15 million difference over the next guy or whoever else you could sign? And I know Steven has an idea that we could talk about here in a few minutes over who could replace him potentially. I think that this is kind of your typical, prototypical cap casualty type of situation.
So Tremaine is very well liked in that locker room, goes about his business in the right way on the daily, has been first class his entire time here, and played his best football for the Bears last season when they moved him to the weak side, and he really took off and finally looked like the guy the Bears had that Ryan Poles had sought after trading Roquan. However, it is true that DeMarco Jackson had 15 tackles the second he got an opportunity to play. And it is true that the Bears need help up front getting to the quarterback, more so than they need help at linebacker. So I don't, it would not be popular in the room letting Tremaine go, but that's what goes on in the NFL every single year. So I just don't, I'd be surprised if he was here. And I saw Bochanta with a question like, who would you bet on between DeMarco and Edmunds? You'd bet on DeMarco. And I was doing a little bit.
Well, he's a free agent too, right?
Right. Well, Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought, okay, fair enough. Between those two though, I still would bet on DeMarco because he ain't going to be as expensive. But look, I took a peek at just the Seahawks because it's a copycat league, and you look at their front seven, their linebackers, they had 5 guys who played between 80% at the top, Ernest Jones, down to 27%, Tyrese Knight. 5 dudes taking the snaps, which is vastly different from how the Bears have gone about it, which is, basically, Tremaine and TJ were getting all the snaps. So could they potentially pivot and do this differently, which is a little bit more depth? And Steven, why don't you jump in here on a guy that you think the Bears potentially could target who would not be nearly as expensive as Tremaine?
Yeah, for me, I'm a little early on this one, but Devin Bush, Cleveland Browns outside linebacker, he's a guy that I'm looking at. You could get him for about $9 million annually. You throw him maybe like a 3-year, $30 million deal. I think that could get the job done. He's the same age as Tremaine Edmunds as well, but he's going to come a lot cheaper. He's coming off his career best season. He put up 125 combined tackles. That's more than Tremaine has added any season in his career. And he's a guy that I think on a different team probably would have gotten Pro Bowl recognition this year. And unfortunately, he's on a bad Browns team, and he didn't. This guy, he plays sideline to sideline. He's fast. I think he's, for the most part, he's avoided injuries. I've been a big fan of his ever since he was drafted with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So, this is where you got to trust some talent evaluation here. And, last year, obviously, they took a swing in the 4th round with Ruben Hippolyte. That looks like a swing and a miss. You can certainly go back in the draft and try to hit again. Noah Sewell looked like a swing and a miss. Then he looked like a swing and a hit. Now he looked like a swing and, it's just like, can we get some consistency here? And also with, the other problem, if you're going to get rid of Edmunds, TJ Edwards is going to be here with his contract, but is he healthy? What is the recovery time for what looked like a pretty damn serious injury getting, carted off?
No, he'll be all right. It was just it was like an ankle fracture, I believe. So he'll be fine for training camp.
Okay, that foot moved in a really weird way. Like I suppose you're right, but
I think the bigger question is, can he stay healthy? Is he over these soft tissue issues, because those were nagging him throughout the year, as well.
Well,
so look, they just need more speed. They need more speed. Like I agree. One thing watching that game the other night is Seahawks got guys running all over the place very fast.
Right. Well, it's a combo though too, because Ruben Hippolyte could run. Just
does 4.43 speed interest you? Because that's what Devin Bush ran at the combine. I know it's been a while, but I mean, when I say he's sideline to sideline, that's what I'm talking about. They did lack speed. I mean, if you look at the way the Bears matched up against a team like the Lions, there was no one on that Bears defense that could match up favorably against anybody on that Lions offense. That's why they lost both of those games. It was a speed issue. This is a guy that could fill that issue, because all due respect to TJ and Tremaine, neither one of them could keep up with faster tight ends or wide receivers. Not that they should be matched up with wide receivers in the first place.
No, TJ in coverage has never been a good thing, and TJ's been a very good player here, and I hope he gets healthy, and I hope he's back, and I hope he plays well. All those things. I'm a big TJ fan, but when Ben schemed up the stumble bum against TJ, and then he got here and talked about it, TJ wasn't sure if he was kidding or not. Like when he joked around about it, because he wasn't exactly sure where he stood with the new guy, right? And so I wonder if he still is not exactly sure. Like a lot of guys have to be wondering, okay, now this is your first offseason. You got to be around. And, Cole Kmet's in this conversation because you could save $8 million with Cole. And a lot of people talked about restructuring Cole. That's fine. But if I'm Cole Kmet and I'm in the middle of my prime and I do everything right on and off the field, sure, I'm not the fastest tight end out there, and I'm not taking less money to be
but that's, you got to be careful. Restructure doesn't mean less money. Restructure means you're getting an extension and your cap hit is being lowered. Okay. It's not taking a pay cut. That's different. A lot of times, they'll ask a guy to take a pay cut, and if you say no, they will just cut you completely. I don't think that's the situation here with the Bears, because Cole Kmet's too important for the offense.
Okay, fair. But if you start, so just getting into the restructuring part of this, if you start kicking the can down the road with restructuring a bunch of guys to try to hit this year, well, you're going to pay for that down the road, and you're going to have to pay your quarterback, in theory, if this keeps going, sooner than later. You get him for one more year before that conversation starts to open up, and maybe they won't do it immediately after year 3, but that'll be a conversation next offseason. So, my point is that you gotta, you've got to manage today, but you also have to manage down the line. So that's the challenge for Poles.
Well, right, but it depends who you're talking about here. Like, Carm, off the top of your head, is Cole Kmet somebody that you want here for the next 4 years?
Yep, I do.
Okay, then you don't really are worried about kicking the can down the road here. It's a very reasonable contract. We're not talking about $30 million here. We're talking about giving the guy an extension so he's here a little bit longer, and it's not killing you. When you start talking about restructuring DJ Moore's contract, and I'll give Kevin Fishbane credit for this because he talked to a source, an agent, and he put this in his story that said, DJ, you could create $17.5 million in cap space by restructuring DJ Moore. That sounds really good. But, and I quote now from this agent, but it would make him even more painful to move on from next year.
Exactly.
Because but these are two different situations. I feel like you're not hearing me. DJ Moore, if I said right now, DJ Moore's on the Bears in 4 years, are you shocked?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that's a situation. We're talking about $30 million moving a contract where he's still going to be on the books 3 years from now. That's kicking the can down the road. Extending Cole Kmet, who could realistically be here for 4 more years at a reasonable price, that's not kicking the can down the road. That's doing smart contractual business to create some freedom and giving yourself a reward in a couple years too.
Right. But see, where you're not necessarily hearing the brilliance of Carm right now. Cole is getting 11.6, right? If you're Cole, do you want that same 11.6 or maybe 13 for the next 4 years, or on a 2-year extension that would take him out through 28, 29? Don't you want that same money? And do the Bears value him at that level?
Well, I think that's a fair point. I think that's I think he would be understanding that Colston Loveland's here now and eating into even his snap count late in the season. That's a situation where I think you got to understand, if you want to be in Chicago, you're probably not getting much of a raise, if anything.
And that's
beyond the years that you're already contractually obligated to get. Right. So, but is Cole going to get signed by a different team to be tight end one and play 100% of the snaps?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But if I was Cole, again, going into this season, he's going to be 27 and he's 28. I'm probably rolling the dice on that before I'm saying I'm willing to sign give me $6 million a year for 28 and 29 to stay here. I mean, are they really going to hit that number? What is the number? So that's where I do wonder if this thing could get sideways, at least with Komet. I would bet against it because I think he wants to be here, and he doesn't come across as, give me every last dollar guy. There's value in playing in your hometown, and he's married here, and their life set up here, and all the things, and and finally, I would also bet from Cole's standpoint that, and by the way, I haven't talked to Cole about this at all, but like from his standpoint, like finally we're a winning team now. Like the exhaustion of losing every year, that had to be real, versus now, like, oh, got the quarterback in place, got the head coach in place. He's got good chemistry with the head coach. There's a relationship there that I think it would be even more incentive for him to stay here. But you only get to do this for a certain period of time. Cole's not, so you got to make what you can make.
All right, we got to hit our last break. When we come back, we'll talk about another defensive player that matters. He's our game day difference maker. We still have one more break, don't we?
We do.
Good job. Okay. You confused me with the thing. And we'll talk about Austin Booker coming up next, and we may or may not have a special Carm video for you as well. But first,
hey, shout out to our friends Ray Scarpelli at Ray Chevrolet. The new Chevrolet models are in store, and it is your chance to shop the hot deals all month long during their auto shows sales event. This is awesome. You can stop in today. 0% financing for 72 months. That's 6 years on all new Chevrolet models. Or, of course, you can check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. The value is there for you. It's one of the top-selling Chevrolet dealers in the Midwest. They're able to keep their prices competitive, so you are going to get a great deal. Go see for yourself. Visit their store, or you can check it out online, but visit their store on Route 12 in Fox Lake. Don't miss out on the auto show sales event all month long. 0% financing, 72 months. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
And we're all looking for a winter escape right now. How about one that blends adventure, comfort, and a touch of magic? Sand Valley is not just about golf. It's a year-round experience. Whether you're planning a weekend trip for two, an adventure for your small group, or a memorable family getaway, Sand Valley is the perfect winter destination. Spend your days snowshoeing across peaceful trails, fat tire biking, ice skating on a pond, or laughing your way down the sledding hill. If you're feeling competitive, try court tennis. When the chill sets in, you can cozy up inside one of Sand Valley's restaurants or bars where good food and warm company always hit the spot. Sand Valley also hosts unforgettable seasonal events, from a high-energy pond hockey tournament, and for food lovers, a James Beard Invitational that brings world-class cuisine straight to the resort. Winter is calling, and Sand Valley is ready to welcome you. Book your trip at sandvalley.com today. They even got curling. They do. We can work on your curling and come back and win gold in 4 years.
Do you think that Sand Valley would host this show?
I don't see why not. They're a partner of ours. I would hope so.
They might prefer to host like the Blackhawk show or perhaps the Bulls show, or, I mean, I would love them to host us, and I think they would host Gregory, but, he might wear some odd outfits, and, we could I don't know. I would love them to, is the point here. Sand Valley, we would love to come. We would love to enjoy the Sand Valley and bring listeners and everything. I'm begging right now. That's the whole point of this. All right, Hoge, why don't we do our game day men's health difference maker? Game day men's health, doing it for you with the better. You can become a better father. You can become a better husband. You can become a better man by going to Game Day Men's Health. Visit GameDayCHGO.com to find the location closest to you. And our Game Day Men's Health difference maker, we're underlining Austin Booker for you today, because when you talk about optimism for next season and guys that can step up and get to the quarterback, sure, maybe they'll address it in the draft, and maybe Max Crosby will be here in some crazy deal, although I'd be very, very, very surprised if that happened. Austin Booker, when he got back on the field this year, again showed the ability to get to the quarterback, and he did it better in year 2 than he did in year 1. So we're asking kind of the question here, how high is up potentially for Booker in year 3? I mean, what your level of optimism that perhaps if they do address the interior of the defensive line and we get a little more impact from the defensive tackles, however that comes, how high up do you think Booker can be? Do you see him as a double-digit sack guy?
Yeah, well, I think he can get to double digits. I think he can be potentially that type of player. I'm trying to look here. DeAndre or Austin Booker. I don't know why I can't find his name on here, but like I still look at him as a young developmental player who has upside. I think he flirted with becoming what I would call a purple player, a solid starter that you can win with. And I would say how confident I am that he can consistently stay in that position with another jump going into year 3. I think that's pretty realistic. How confident am I that he's going to ascend to like a player you're winning because of consistently, more of a red player? That one I'm more like 50-50 on. I don't want to take it off the table completely. I do think that a Darnell Wright like jump from year 2 to year 3 for Austin Booker on the edge, that would be a massive development for this defense if that happens. But he's not a first round talent. He's not a top 10 talent. He wasn't drafted that way. And so to expect him to do what Darnell Wright did this year on the offensive side of the ball, I think would be a little bit of a reach.
Well, Chant and Austin Booker as a rotation pass rusher is probably his best option. Lighter frame would keep him fresh longer. You're right about the frame, Bochan. That's true. And Hoge, everything you just said about, sure, he wasn't a first round draft. He wasn't a second round draft pick. He was a 5th round draft pick that the Bears had to give up a 4th for. But I'll tell you this, his motor is first round. That dude is active out there all the time. I would call him the most, think if that's unfair, but I don't think it is. I think I would call him the most relentless guy they have on the defensive line. He is consistently, trying to find his way to the quarterback, and when and he'll make impact plays like late too, where he's just all of a sudden he breaks free, and then there's that extra burst that you love to see. And now, I also see him getting knocked back, and he's not really decisive in his moves enough. If you really just watch him all the time, he seems to sort of still be figuring it out. But comparing him to, I don't know, Dayo Odengbo, if you just isolate and watch him doing his spin move and getting flipped around, and there's like no chance that he's ever getting there, versus Booker. Like Booker, there's definitely something there. So, we talked about this yesterday. I'm going to be talking about it a lot until, through free agency. Defensive tackle, pressure up the middle. If you had really some people collapse in that defense, Austin Booker, to answer my own question, I think he's easily a double-digit sack guy. Yeah, I mean, you could, there's a lot of guys who are thin that have had long careers in the NFL getting to the quarterback. Leonard Floyd comes to mind off the top of my head. Now, he's moved around a bunch, but like, you tell me he can't be that level of impact guy year in and year out? I think he can.
Yeah, I just think we're kind of falling into the trap here of what happened too long on the offensive line for the Bears, where it's like, well, this guy could do this. He could develop into this. It's like, no, just go out and go get Joe Tooney, who's going to be the NFL Protector of the Year, and then watch how that multiplies the rest of the line. I'm being serious now. So to your point, whether it's Max Crosby or somebody else, maybe it's a first round, maybe it's the guy you get at 25 overall. That's a lot to ask from a rookie. But if you can get, since we're talking about game day difference makers here, at one of the 4 spots on your defensive line, you need to find the Joe Tooney All-Pro. You need the All-Pro.
That's right.
Because you can't just keep flirting with, oh, this guy could become a solid starter. Or maybe he's a rotational passer. If we're living in that land, we're not living in the Super Bowl land, right? So one of those spots on the D line, either an inside or outside, needs to be an All-Pro. You got to find that guy this offseason.
And they don't grow on trees. And the Bears they went out and tried to, they paid for Grady Jarrett last year. They paid for Dio.
But they didn't pay for Milton Williams.
Right. They got it wrong. Exactly.
I mean, that's the point.
So, okay. Let's just say they went. Are you saying that you'd pay the freight for Max? Whatever the trade, whatever.
I would seriously consider it. I think that there's certainly downsides to it. I think you can look back in hindsight at the Khalil Mack trade and say they could have won the Super Bowl if they had the quarterback, right? And it was really the problem was they doubled down on the quarterback, not necessarily that they went all in on the edge rusher. So I think you make the argument that type of move goes differently with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson here. I think that's an argument that can be made. On the other hand, you also look back at the Khalil Mack trade, and it's not a slam dunk that it worked. There were a lot of downsides to it. It cost you in the future. But again, that was because you didn't have the quarterback. So if you want to look at this 2-year window where your quarterback's on the rookie contract, I think it's a worthwhile discussion that I guarantee you is happening at some point if it hasn't already inside the walls of House Hall.
Right. I'm sure it is. I would just living in the now and living in the Hoge, if you will. You believe in the quarterback, right?
I do.
Deeply, right? I mean, like deeply believe in him. You believe in the head coach deeply. So people are afraid to talk about how, on some level, the Bears are entering into a 5-year window where maybe longer, who knows, that they should be in there. So, you can, on some level, you're going to have to pay him, but you don't necessarily have to mortgage a ton of first-round draft picks, 2 or 3 or whatever it's going to cost to get him when you're in this window where you're going to need those picks because you're going to have to, if you're going to want to make it sustained, you're going to have some guys playing at a high level on rookie contracts because you're going to be paying Caleb. So,
and they've already spent way too much on the defensive line.
Right. So
quite frankly, I mean, they traded draft capital and paid Montez Sweat. They paid Dio Odengbo. They paid Grady Jarrett. Those 3 guys are still going to be here next year. So,
yeah. And they'll all be coming off too, so you'll have some flexibility to go out and get after it going into year 4 with Caleb and year 3 with Ben. Do you want to play this Carman the Wild as I believe?
I do, but first I want to tell everybody that we're about to head into overtime here on CHGO and become a diehard and whatnot.
36. And I messed it up again.
Yeah, one of these days. You're 0 for 100, I think, on the stream.
I think I got once. I think I'm 1 for 100. I'm hitting it. I'm at 1%. I'm about as good on that as Chris Bryant's been for the Colorado Rockies. He's on the 60-day to start the season. Sorry. I love you, KB. One of the biggest hits in Cub history.
It's a great comparison. What was your big hit that you had before you went to Colorado?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still here.
Your foot massage with Martellus.
That was good. That was before I got to CHGO.
Yeah.
Shout out Johns for hanging out with me. Nobody else was going foot rub. He didn't even hesitate. I'm in. I mean, we didn't hold hands, but we could have. We were close. We had a nice little, side by side.
Make it weirder than it already is.
Well, somebody was asking yesterday about, I want to hear about Johns and Carm foot rub. So,
well, it was a real thing that happened. I mean, the rest of us were trying to go to the biggest party of the night. our only Super Bowl. Well, no, we did go to one the night before, but we're trying to make big moves. Yeah. And Carman's like, want to go take a nap next door at the foot massage place? And stunningly, Johns was in.
I mean, I didn't think I was going to fall asleep. I didn't realize how much the room would be spinning. I did dry. I did dry January. Normally, I'd be able to handle I don't know what I have, 3 beers. Hoge forced me to go to a happy hour with Matt Castle, which was amazing. Okay, it's the other way around. We hung out with Matt Castle at a happy hour. We haven't talked about that. That was amazing. All right. Yeah.
Well, here's a bonus video that we got some of these up our sleeve that we're going to bring you towards the end of some shows. We promise, well, maybe not fully promise, mostly promise that this one will work, unlike our interview with the Rams players, which I hope you'll check out on our YouTube channel, because we will upload it separately. And it was an interesting conversation about what would have happened if Ben Johnson would have gone for 2 in that moment. But so as media night was winding down last week, we decided to hand Carman a microphone and film him in the wild. What would happen as I kind of narrated it with my own microphone behind the camera. Steven was shooting it. I was narrating, and Carm was going full Carm.
Fingers crossed the streaming situation works. Or Steven, are we confident this is going to work?
We are.
I feel pretty good about it. I had to change the bit rate, but it was able to upload directly to StreamYard, so it wasn't like the last video that we just tried screen sharing. We
changed the bit rate. That's exactly what I would have done. I'm glad we did that. Good move. Good move, Steven.
Carm learned a new word today. All right.
Carman in the wild. Let's watch it. All right, we have Mark Carman in the wild at media night. This is really his element. We're going to just follow him and observe what type of weird stuff he does.
Did you get that video?
So
Zero idea who that was.
Well, what should I know about you? This is Carm doing cramming. This is cramming.
Do you know what this is? Offensive player.
This is Marshall Lang, practice squad tight end.
It's a Wildcat.
This is amazing. He went to Northwestern.
All right.
That's amazing that Carm randomly found the Northwestern guy.
Last one.
That's a good question. I don't know. My buddy is out here. I used to play football with him at Northwestern. He goes to Stanford now.
Did you hear that? Used to play Northwestern. All right, Marshall Lang, what's going on? This is CHGO Bears, but deep down, more than anything else, I'm a Northwestern Wildcat fan. So I want to thank you for your courage and everything you did in Evanston.
Appreciate you. I thank you guys a lot for saying that. It means a lot.
This guy over here, his name's Adam Hoge. Come here, Hoge.
Okay, I'm here.
Adam did sideline for the Cats. The greatest thing about
your first year was 2020.
Yes,
the COVID year.
Yes.
Okay, so that was my last year on the sidelines.
Come on.
So
dude.
my last game was at that Citrus Bowl.
Oh my goodness.
Which the quarterback for Auburn in that game was?
No idea.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, right? Of course.
You should know that.
I should know that.
He got 4 snaps in that game. 4-7. One of the two. Last garbage time. It was awesome.
That's a great game. It was a big win for the Cats.
It was a huge win for the Cats.
And the weather was beautiful. It was 80 degrees.
I got some cool pictures of myself. I'm kidding. They actually were really bad on me because my dad took them from the stadium. We zoomed in.
So we're gonna go into it right now. Can you believe when the Cats got rid of Fitz? Was it the worst day in the history of the Cats? Because I think it was the worst day in the history of the Cats, Marshall. Let's be honest about it.
I miss Coach Fitz so much. Wherever Michigan State got a good one out of him. I don't know. Coach, I'm angry at you for going to Michigan State, if I'm going to be honest.
It's weird,
but
isn't it?
It feels so weird. It feels so weird saying that you're at Michigan State.
The dude says go green, go white. You know that he doesn't want to say that. He wants to say go purple.
He wants to say go purple. That's where his heart is.
We know this. We know this.
He's so awesome.
So how did you get here, man? You're in the Super Bowl.
Tell you what, it's been a roller coaster of emotions. It's been a lot of up and a lot of down. And if I didn't have a support system that I do at home with my family, I'm not standing here talking to you guys right now, and that's for darn sure. My mom and my dad have been super helpful to me, backed me every step of the way, helped me with my training. They paid for my training for Pro Day, the Combine, and I just thank them so much because everything they've done is so selfless, and they are the reason why I get to experience this. So they're the behind-the-scenes characters, but they should be up front where they deserve to be.
Well, then let's just underline this. You're a dude who chased a dream. You didn't explode on the college scene, and you hung in there and believed in yourself. That's a great lesson for literally anybody in any part of their life. So you could maybe just underline it one step further as to where that belief came from.
I got to give the glory to God, and I know it's a lot of people aren't believers right now. It's kind of a polarizing topic to talk about Jesus, and I got to say it anyway. Like I got to praise Jesus Christ for everything He's done in my life. The ups and the downs, it's all part of a plan, and it's in the world we live in today that it seems like so anti-Christ. I gotta give glory where glory is due, and shout out Jesus for that one. So he's the reason why I'm able to do this right now.
Well, as the Jewish guy in this interview, spirituality is a beautiful thing, and so I think you should never be shy and put that out there when it means that much to you. Anything else, Hoge?
No, just good luck in the Super Bowl, and go Cats.
Thank you, guys. God bless you guys.
Thanks, Marshall.
Yes, sir.
And there it is. As the Jewish guy in the interview, I don't think I've ever said those words before in my life, but I did. Dude was on, like you said, you don't have to apologize for your spirituality, man. That's good on you, Marshall Lang.
Well, first of all,
The whole thing was awkward. I'm horrified by myself. Yes,
became
that's
a heartfelt interview about his parents and
that was nice.
Belief. I love that. But you had two of the greatest moments of the week right there in that video. I mean, the Jewish guy in the interview comment was amazing, but that poor girl that you screamed the last one at. What was and Steven said the same thing here in our private chat. I know we're on the same page of this. That was my favorite moment of the entire week, and I think it was Steven's too.
Well, she was going on, and then, by the way, the gender is.
You don't know what she was working on?
I don't care. Chop. Let's go. How many questions do you have for Marshall Lang? You got 2 minutes. Let's go.
Well, I'll tell you what, she probably had the questions we failed to answer, which, as you saw in that interview, we were literally looking up who he was moments before. Do you know why Marshall Lang might have been a popular person to talk to at that Super Bowl?
No, I don't. You tell me.
Here's Marshall Lang's career transactions. He was originally signed by Seattle as a rookie free agent after the draft in May.
How long ago was that? How long ago was that?
Let's listen for 2 seconds. He spent training camp with the Seahawks. Okay. Ooh. He was signed then by New England to their practice squad in October after he was cut by the Seahawks. They ended up cutting him 2 days later, and he signs with Seattle again to their practice squad back in November. And then he spends a couple more weeks with Seattle, gets cut, and the Patriots sign him back on December 30th. So he went from the Seahawks to the Patriots to the Seahawks to the Patriots with some downtime on the couch, not knowing if he ever gets signed again in the middle of all of those. Unfortunately, he ended up on the wrong team when it was all said and done because the Seahawks won the game.
Unfortunately for me, in my extensive research before that interview, I did not find that out. I only found out his name.
Right.
And then I was like, Northwestern.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't know that until 5 minutes ago while we were playing that video.
Well, but that's a good job right there.
Well, you would have known that had you read that girl's story.
Did she write that story?
I don't know. I just
no chance.
It would have been hilarious though if there was like a Marshall Lang feature.
Okay, I'm telling you, there was no questions about his Seattle, New England, Seattle journey. And also, I watched Jeff Darlington with Andrew Janocko. I told him last question too to get Hogan Johns in there for the record. All right, last question, Jeff. Let's go. So, random person with Marshall Lang up the food chain of the NFL Network. I am playing the media relations representative. Last question. Let's go. So that could be my new role. Just to do, I can walk around. Say again.
You could be our PR guy.
It's just as an addition to, director of garbage, PR representative, PR assistant, all these things.
I am slightly disappointed that the viewers didn't get to see you pull out your harmonica in front of Byron Young, and his immediate reaction was like, "You carry that around with you?"
Yeah, that was I saw Nico Suave was disappointed that we lost that one, but we're gonna upload it, and maybe we'll even change the bit rate and play it tomorrow. I don't know.
We could, but it'll be on the CHGO channel regardless. We could bring it back tomorrow. That's a possibility. All right, you had a Ditka nugget that you wanted to get in here at the end, and then we got two super chats.
Okay, Mike Ditka. I don't know if you remember this, Hoge, but 40 years ago, the Bears won the Super Bowl, and Ditka wore a sweater that said Bears across it. The thing started out as at an auction they were trying to sell this sweater for $82,000. And if I didn't know about this until today, but I would have said, is anybody who's paying $80,000 for a Ditka sweater? The thing sold for $183,000. The Mike Ditka sweater. And
pretty iconic sweater, dude.
Yeah. Great. It is iconic. And
if you are Mr. 85 Bears, if you had FU money, you wouldn't spend that on that.
Well, that's the thing. Some people out there they just have so much damn dough that just doesn't matter. I want that sweater. I don't know what it's worth. I don't know the resale value. I'm probably not doing it for. But what do you even do with it? Like if somebody gifted you the Mike Ditka sweater, what would you do? You'd put it in a frame and put it up on Hoge wall.
Hoge wall with there's got to be some way to authenticate it and put some type of you probably put it in a frame that also has a picture, like built into it of him, being held up with wearing the sweater on the field at the Superdome.
I mean, I get it. If you're a huge, you're a huge Ditka guy. I hope the person that bought it actually saw him play football too. Like just somebody who's like at the end of their run and just wants it and has done well for themselves. It's like, you know what? This is my piece that I want on my wall that makes me happy every time I see it every day. And it's worth $183,000 for me because I'll leave it to whoever I'm going to leave it to. It's a lot of money for a Ditka sweater. Shout out Ditka. Congratulations.
I'm not denying it's a lot of money. It is kind of insane, but
I mean, it's not a game worn jersey. It's his sweater. I mean, I guess it's the same thing. It's his game worn sweater. The game worn Ditka sweater. Shout out Ditka. What do you think? Go ahead.
That's like more iconic than even the game jerseys from that game. I
guess. I mean, you'd rather
really think about it.
Well, Peyton's jersey would be worth more. I wonder what, like, if you could get like Mongo's jersey from that game or Richard Dent, the MVP. Dent's 95 MVP probably goes.
Sweater is more iconic.
Probably goes for, yeah. I'll tell you this much though: if I was Richard Dent and somebody told me I could get $180,000 for my jersey that I wore in the Super Bowl, as much as I loved playing in that game, I got the memories, buddy. You got the jersey. Go ahead, give me the 180.
Yeah. All right, couple supers here on the way out. Jason and Michelle, 5-month member, YouTube member. We appreciate you. Says, hi, team. Excited for next season, but for the record, I'm still a Caleb Williams denier. Purely because of the trade back capital we could have gotten.
It takes guts to admit that at this point.
Yeah.
It's not a great take. But hey, what
are you doing with all that capital?
Yeah.
Besides not getting a franchise quarterback.
And Jason and Michelle, I'd also remind you that if you go back and look at the draft history of Ryan Poles, it kind of makes you worried about the future draft, what he'll do in the future, because there's some swing and misses there. Come here, Poppy.
Jason and Michelle, I'll put it like this, and I'll sell you on them right now. If we don't draft Caleb Williams and we trade back, Ben Johnson probably not here right now.
Ooh.
So for that reason, you should be a Caleb Williams believer.
That's a great point.
Jason, Michelle, again, the one thing that's missing in that chat is that I think that Tyson Bagent's going to end up in the Hall of Fame. You left that part out, but it's okay. Poppy, come here.
Okay.
You could
Jonathan Otten, $5. Sending this just to say hi to everyone and to say thanks. See you all at the draft party.
Did he not win? We should have. You should have been the fan of the year, Jo. If you weren't,
what's cool is that the NFL fan of the year goes to Ed Callahan.
Whatever.
Ed Callahan cheated.
Ed Callahan didn't come to any tailgates. Ed Callahan, I'm sure you're a great Ed Callahan, but Jo, it should have been you, man. Poppy is here to support you and be your therapy dog from a distance for not winning it, for all the effort you put in there. But you had a ton of fun along the way.
You know what I love?
Brax in the stands. I'm a Jason and Michelle denier. That's funny. Good job, Gregory.
Which team is Ed Callahan from? An Eagles fan?
Oh, what is that the guy that I put in my Instagram story because I took no good pictures and that was the only thing I had?
Yeah, Ed looks like he's been around for a minute. Probably deserved it.
Give it up for Ed.
You know what I loved? When I talked to Jo at our last tailgate that he was at, he had the scouting report on all the candidates. He's like, I think I got a pretty strong case, but there's this guy in Pittsburgh and there's this guy here. He knew everything, and he was realistic about his chances.
Well, we sort of let Jo down. He came out to San Francisco. I tried to get him a media pass. It didn't happen. I completely failed. I asked 700 people how to do it. Nobody had a great answer. So it just didn't happen, Jo. So I apologize. But I know you had a great time because I saw a million pictures. So I think you're still, as you well know, Jo, you were a winner on this whole thing. So congrats. I think you did as much as you could with it.
He's the Bears fan of the year.
You're the Bears fan.
The best team. So that's what matters. All right. I think we're done here.
Is it all over? All right. Tomorrow is the show in studio.
Yes. Well, it is for now. Then we'll not come in studio. We won't tell you. We'll do that again.
All right. Pop, this is your one day. Poppy, this is your one day this week. So you have anything you want to say to the people? No? Okay. You're a dog. You don't speak. I get it.
She barked earlier.
She did bark earlier.
Yeah. All right. We will be
better than Herb Street's
tomorrow.
dog. You're better than Herb Street's dog. Not really, but you're in there, buddy.
Peter's
Peter was good.
High level dog.
Yeah, no, he was iconic. But maybe next year, Hoge, we can just bring Poppy to this. If we brought Poppy to the Super Bowl, do you think there's a good yawn? There we go. Do you think that we would have gotten more interviews because everybody wanted to pet her? I think it's a good strategy.
I think we got plenty of interviews. I think we did really well, guys. I think it's okay.
Denied,
all right.
Poppy, denied.
Rags, please come in here and end the show since he refuses.
You got it. I'm not saying another word.
All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. CHGO Bears at 1:00. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.